Donald Trump tried to ban Syrian refugees from entering into the U.S., but called for the establishment of safe zones in Syria and in Yemen. Exactly what is this plan about? What does he mean by safe zones?
Well, we have to, first of all, take into consideration that we can't count on what President Trump says at the moment. Number one, his security team, the expertise, the security team, he hasn't filled in all the positions. So what he's saying these days, it seems that he's doing so without consulting experts, and this was the case with the immigration law recently, banning the entrance of nationals from 7 different countries. So, we have to take what he says with a pinch of salt. We can't put too much capital in terms of what he's saying. Also, he's recently, the Principals Committee, which is one committee which sits under the National Security Council in America, he has taken an unprecedented decision to include his chief political strategist as part of a permanent member of this committee. This is unprecedented, Shin. We've never had somebody who is a political strategist being a permanent member of this body, while the Director of National Intelligence and Chief Joint of Staff in America are no longer automatic members of this body. So again, it seems that he is not listening to experts, and his national security team is not taking into consideration the opinion of experts and the presence of people who have been dealing with these issues for a long time. So with that in mind, I think, yes, he has said he's going to create no-fly zones. Well, the government of President Assad is not going to take it lightly. I don't think the Russians are going to take it lightly. And also, quoting General Martin Dempsey, who said in 2013, creating a no-fly zone requires $1 billion a month. Does President Trump have that kind of money at the moment? So there's a lot of ambiguities for now regarding this recent political statement made by President Trump.
So what you're saying is what he meant by the safe zone is actually no-fly zones. That's indeed a reversal of previous U.S. policies in that region. But maybe I would like to believe that he did not have his foreign policy well thought of, which is unfortunate. But at this moment, we do not know really. But what do you think is his obvious intention by trying to set up the safe zones? What is he trying to do?
Well, Mr. Trump belongs to the school of thought in America who believes that the refugee crisis in Europe, where you had 1 million people who arrived in Europe from mainly Syria and of course other countries, was created because no safe zones were created in Syria. That people in Syria fleeing the conflict had nowhere else to go. Also, let's not forget that he has said plainly and blatantly that he does not want Syrian refugees in the United States of America. He has said it. So he believes that the best solution in order to make sure that no more refugees arrive in Europe, but more importantly, there are no more Syrian refugees who will want to enter the U.S., the best solution for that is to create safe havens within Syria. But as I said again, I'm not so sure that this policy has been so well thought out. It's a very complicated business, Shin. To create a no-fly zone or a safe zone, you need to have military personnel on the ground. You need to have air cover from the air, because a safe zone without air cover is not worth much. You need to have electronic countermeasures. You need to have people who will check everybody who comes in and out of those safe zones. You need to have food for the people who are going to be part of that safe zone. So again, I'm not so sure that this is something that has been well thought of, although it is a good idea. And this is not something that, if he is going to do it even, is going to happen anytime soon.
At the same time, Saudi King Salman bin Abdulaziz is reported to have agreed to the idea of creating these safe zones in Yemen, okay, not in Syria, where, as we know, a Saudi-led Arab coalition is bombing Iranian-supported Houthi forces. Why do you think Trump is trying to get Saudi forces to agree to setting up the free zone in Yemen?
Well, the United States has two enemies in Yemen. One of them is Al Qaeda, and we heard recently that there was a commando raid on the headquarters of Al Qaeda in the Middle East, in Yemen, which is a very important part of Al Qaeda, which unfortunately failed, and some Americans were killed, and of course, unfortunately, some civilian people, including some children, were killed in that raid. It turns out that Al Qaeda found out that the Americans are coming. So there was the element of surprise was taken away from them. The other enemy of United States in Yemen is the Houthis. The Americans see the Houthis as being aligned with Iran. We know what President Trump thinks about Iran. So he also wants to limit the power of the Houthis in Iran. And let's not forget that the Houthis have also been targeting American ships off the coast of Yemen, and this happened during Mr. Obama, not even Mr. Trump. So there's enough reason for the Americans not to want the Houthis to have the upper hand. So these reasons, in addition to the fact that President Trump wants to have Saudi support in the Middle East, and the Saudis are an important ally for him economically, and also the people on his team right now have very close relations with the Saudis. So when you put that together, the picture emerges that yes, the idea of a safe zone in Yemen with Saudi help would suit American interests. But Shin, theories are very easy. I'd like to see the implementation of that. It's going to be very difficult, especially because of one fact also. The number of people starving in Yemen is increasing because of the siege right now. So, as long as there's no political stability in Yemen, as long as there's a siege which is causing siege by both sides, by the way, the Saudi regime and the Houthis, and people are starving, and Trump does not even seem to want to put boots on the ground, then the idea of wanting to create a safe zone in Yemen sounds plausible, but in reality, again, I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Let's take a look at the kind of relationship that's forming between the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia. Are you seeing something new here, something new and interesting here in this possible new relationship?
Oh, Shin, the night Mr. Trump was elected was, I'm sure, there were popping champagnes in the office of Prime Minister Netanyahu, and they were popping orange juice in Saudi Arabia. They can't have alcohol there, well, theoretically speaking. What I'm trying to say is that they were both very happy. The Saudi leadership and Israeli leadership were very disappointed with President Trump. With President Obama, they didn't believe he was taking a tough enough line when it came to Iran. So they are hoping that he's going to take a much tougher line than President Obama when it comes to Iran. Now, for Israel, the government of Prime Minister Netanyahu, what's also important is not just Iran. It's the question of the settlements. The Prime Minister wants to expand settlements without having to be concerned about what the government of the United States will do or say. There was a lot of concern during President Obama. Now he's no longer in office. And we see that Prime Minister Netanyahu, as soon as Mr. Trump has entered office, there was this decision last night that they're going to legalize some settlements, some homes in settlements, which is a very controversial move. And it's not by coincidence that such a controversial decision has been taken, with barely a month since President Trump has entered office. They were basically waiting for this to happen. So this is a blank check that Prime Minister Netanyahu was hoping to receive from Trump. He has it, but I'm not so sure it's going to last forever. I think somewhere along the line, Shin, I'm willing to be as brave as saying that even Trump is going to clash with Netanyahu.